Grimey and Boston Robb back at it.
Yo, can you believe it? Kid, you got 300 YouTube subscribers. Are you active on YouTube at all?
No, I mean, when I was rapping, I was like, obviously trying to pursue it. But even then, I was just putting my videos on YouTube. I was never really like trying to get people to subscribe to my channel. Like, you know what I
Well,
mean?
what about when you had the podcast Stuck on Stuff, right?
Yeah, that was a different channel. That wasn't my personal channel. But yeah, we were trying to get. I think we had 27, so we were really doing good with that.
Oh shit, you didn't even do it on your Stiz Grimey thing?
No, we did it. We created a channel. It Stuck on Stuff had its own YouTube channel, its own Instagram, its own Twitter. You know what I
All
mean?
right. Well, listen, I was grinding for, it was almost exactly a year. So I'm at like 920 subscribers. So if any of my people like hip hop and they like the Boston music scene, go subscribe to Stiz. It's just Stiz Grimey, right?
Yeah, at Stiz Grimey on everything. STIZGRIMEY. Yep.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna try to, my promise to all of my followers, because I love this live stream shit. We can now live stream together. I don't know what they call it. Go live together or something.
Yeah.
We can essentially just kind of rap once a week. So I'm going to try to nail down Stiz, because I'm telling you, he's one of the most fascinating people on earth. He's underutilized. This cat works in radio, and he's a gold mine for not only his takes on stuff, but the life he's lived. And they underutilize it. So I've been telling you, man, you got to start doing something. I'm going to try to do this, and we're just going to riff whatever the fuck comes out.
Please stop. Please stop. Stop.
Yo, but do you remember when God, I don't even think the podcast was on my podcast now. I think it was on like SoundCloud. We went into a story where you were working as a cab driver.
Yeah. Yep.
Was that it?
Yeah.
And you were, I don't even remember. If you want to briefly run down that story, because it's so.
I don't know which one you're talking about. Was it?
Then you know what?
Was it the time that I ran over the elderly woman's leg? I don't know if that's the one. Or
I don't know if we should be admitting to stuff on.
No, hey, you know what? That situation had a happy ending, believe it or not.
She died.
But she's in a month. Very nice. The time where the dude paid me in fake traveler's checks, which I were under the assumption was real. No, it's not real.
Yo, cabbies don't take traveler's checks. You must have been the worst cabbie.
Or the best cabbie. Or the best cabbie. Dude, so this one time I pick up this dude. Now I worked for the Chelsea cab, and it was always a thing, especially if like a younger kid got in your cab and they wanted to go into Boston from Chelsea, because you had to go over the Tobin Bridge, and so you would have to pay a toll, right?
Yeah.
And so when that happened, you would want to see money up front, because the worst thing you want to happen is you get into Boston, they run off on you, and now you're beat for the $5 toll that you just had to pay.
Yeah.
So the kid gets in my cab, yo, take me into Boston. I'm like, yo, bro, like, I need some money up front. I'm sorry. Whips out, dude, this dude has a stack of traveler's checks, right? They're each for $100. And he goes, dude, I'll give you 10 of these things if you just get me into Boston now. I'm like, bro, come on. Like, those ain't real. He goes, bro, pull up to McDonald's right now. We'll take one in. I'll buy something for $1. I'm telling you, you'll get $99 back. I'm like, all right, whatever. And like, full disclosure, I was a delinquent at this point in my life. I am no longer a degenerate. I have turned my life around, but I didn't know what I didn't know back then. So anyway, so sure as shit, go to McDonald's, get something for $1, $99 cash back. He gives me the $99, which is more than enough for the fare. Get me into Boston. I'm like, all right, let's roll. I'll take you wherever now. We get into Boston. He gets out like kind of near the Garden, which like wasn't even that deep into Boston. It's kind of like right over the Tobin Bridge. Breaks off 10 of those traveler's checks, gives them to me. Thank you, man. I'm out. I'm like, wow, I just came up, bro. Like $1,100 basically. So
and you had the 99. Did he give you the?
So he gave me 10 and I had the 99. So like 11, almost $1,100 pretty much, a dollar shy. So for the next week and a half, I'm spending these $100 traveler's checks. I use it at the McDonald's again. So across from the cab stand was in Chelsea was a Tedeschi, right? And very cool with the guys that worked at this Tedeschi because I was in there every day because the cab stand. So oh, did I freeze?
Yeah, something just froze. And you can't leave me hanging right here.
I know.
Because at this point, like, I'm a sucker for it. I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, I know.
Once you break the first 100 and get 99 back, I mean, you're sold, right?
Ah, dude, are you kidding me? That's a freaking $1,000. What should we do? Should we end real quick? Should I X out and see if I can come right back in?
Yeah, X out and try to use the link to come back in. And I'll stay live. Yo, I'm telling you, I don't know who's watching or who's gonna watch the replay, but we got to get Stiz to start doing some more stuff on his YouTube channel because this kid, it's like the life he lived. This dude should write a book. I gotta get him to jot his thoughts down. Gosh, I hope he can come back. And again, this whole yes, all right, here we go. Here we go. Yes, you're back. All right.
Okay. What sucks though is so what? Like, did that live end and now we're like in another session? Oh,
no, I didn't even shut down. Just so you know, if something happens, and I was just explaining this, like this is all new. So I'm still running the timer on almost 7 minutes.
Okay.
So I guess if something happens to you, you can come back in and out. It's only if on my end, then the live will shut down.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so so I knew these dudes at Tedeschi's, so I spent like one or two of them at this Tedeschi's again, and I would just buy something as cheap as possible for $1, get the 99 back, and so like a week or two later, I go into this Tedeschi's, and the dude's name was Mike. He was this dude from Morocco, super cool dude, and he was like, Stiz, you motherfucker, those things were fake. Ah, da, 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 da. And so I found out that those travelers' checks were indeed fraudulent. And
yeah, because those are the cats that will let you know. Like they're the ones that will call you out on like a fake 20 or 100.
and I don't think like he was like my boy. I went in there every day. So I don't think he busted my balls because it wasn't like it was gonna come out of his pocket necessarily. You know what I mean? And he probably was just like, when like when they count or whenever they find out it's fake, he was just like, oh, I don't know, like somebody handed to me, everything looked legit. Like he didn't rat me out basically. But
Oh, well, good. But at the same time, it's like they must have been real legit looking if every place was taking them.
Never got denied. I never one time was someone like, I mean, but also you got to think though too. I mean, what, we're in 2023 now. I'm 28. I mean, this had to be at least 10, 12, 13 years ago. Like this was a while ago. Like
yeah,
thousands. You know what I mean?
and
like,
that kid was just crossing over to that garden area because that's like a good little tourist spot where you can kind of hit.
Yeah, you got a bunch of little shops that he probably exhausted every store in Chelsea. God knows how many of those things he had. Because I told you, like when he whipped them out, like he had a stack, dude.
He knows someone printing them.
That was wild, bro. That was very wild.
Yeah. You know what the funniest thing is no, I think the story you were telling, like you just ripped off what 2 or 3 different crazy stories. No, I thought it was one about a prostitute.
Yeah, that's kind of main one that I tell. There's also another one where I got shot at in the cab physically.
Yo, all right, we gotta save these because I was saying too when you disconnected. I want you to. You got to create, you got to put something on your YouTube channel. And if you can't do it, the best I could do is kind of coax you onto my channel and we can pull these stories out of you. Cause it's a gold mine, bro. The stuff you would tell me, I would be like, yo, who lives this life? And that's come from me. And I've seen some crazy stuff. So, yo,
you know, real quick, but you just saying that you always do some crazy stuff, and this isn't like crazy in like the delinquent world of things, but I always tell people when they talk about like crazy radio things and like especially spoilers, I always tell that story about you ruining the Star Wars movie for people in LA because I just think like that's like a ballsy thing to do. Like with spoilers, people get so crazy about that shit, and I always tell that story about how you did that bit where you friggin' went to the movie theater, the premiere of that new Star Wars movie, and giving out fake endings and shit. Like,
That's yo. I don't want to. Uh, I'm pretty sure that it's on my website right now, and if it's not, I'm pretty sure I could put it up because I was listening because there were like before my dad took his life. There were like two things that made him like laugh so hard. I was like proud, I was like, oh my god, I got my dad. And one, the Star Wars one was one because he was like, "This is just nuts." And then the other one we call it Boston Public Restroom, where this was back when I was drinking, drugging, whatever. And I would go into the bathroom and I had a mic that I would hook into my necklace underneath the thing. I would have to get their approval because this is the thing people don't know about radio. You can't, in most states, you can't hidden mic someone unless you get their approval after. So after saying stuff to these dudes, I'd have to be like, "Hey, I actually work for a radio station." And one dude tried fighting me. He was tucking his necklace in. I called him. I was like, "I know what that means." It's like,
yeah.
"Bro, I'm not trying to fight you. I'm just trying to get some laughs." But I would go up to next to people at the urinal, like right at the urinal next to him. Didn't matter if it was crowded or not. And I'd say stuff like, "You seen Ghostbusters? You want to cross streams?" And like, I asked one dude if he wanted to wrestle.
I, yeah, yeah, you were always really good at like thinking of bits. Like you said, I'm radio now, but like not in the capacity that I was with you, not in the capacity, when I was with AAF, but um I do,
Underutilized. You're
yeah,
underutilized.
but I admire that about people because sometimes like I don't even know if I'm still working on that where like you can take something and make it into a bit like immediately. You know what I mean? Like I don't
Yeah,
know.
but the greatest stuff that I did in Boston was at the inspiration of you. You got us on TMZ.
Yeah, 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 that's
Yo, you were writing. Oh, and real quick to finish the Star Wars thing, like so that wasn't my idea. They sent me out, but I like when they would send me to something, I fully committed.
mhm,
There was no like,
halfway in. Yeah.
yeah, I was never like, guys, this isn't a good idea. And in fact, I was so dumb and young and like, I don't want to call it delinquent because it wasn't really delinquent. It was just like the only thing I cared about was getting high. So like everything else was so secondary for me. So I wasn't attached to it. And these dudes, this was the last time at the radio station they sent anybody without promotions. I forget. They said like promotions team and someone else from the station because they had me drive myself. I went down there. They printed out all the spoilers for the movie. I read them to people who had been camping out for like 5 days. And these dudes, I've never seen people with lightsabers actually try to attack someone, and they came after me. And they chased me to my car. And in the bit, you can hear me. I'm going, yo, he's spitting on me. And then I go, this other guy tried to take out his thing and go to the bathroom on me. So
Oh,
like, they literally were like, they had their fake sabers and chasing me to the car. There was a bunch of them.
yeah, that's a
And
ball.
the radio station had to start to implement rules because I guess the higher ups are like, yo, you can't send this dude alone. But it was just brilliant because I didn't realize the dedication Star Wars fans have. Now I feel awful, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
But at the time I was like, damn, I was so naive and just I didn't know there was like this cult world.
People get
So
out about the spoilers. Like me personally, when I want to see something that bad, I will search out spoilers. Like,
right?
yeah, I do. It doesn't affect me in one bit. I still want to go see the movie. I still want to see how they portray it on screen. Like, for example, the new Halloween movies. They did 3 of them recently,
Yeah.
Those were when that was rolling, I was actively searching for script leaks, for like anything. Like
Anything, right?
yeah, yeah, it doesn't affect me in the least.
Well, for me, like I'm trying to think the last one, it was probably a Marvel movie. Only
Yeah,
because how they set the cliffhangers.
yeah.
And I read all these different theories of how it would go. And all of them just kind of made me want to see it more. I was like, I want to see how they wrote this out, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, exactly.
I was never. I don't know. That's such a weird thing. I'm trying to think where a spoiler would ruin it for me. Maybe a sports game.
On the radio, dude, people get God. Like you could say the smallest thing. Like you could say the ending from like a movie that came out in '84, and they'll be like, "Oh, spoiler warning." Oh, fucking ghosts. All right, Swayze died. It's
Yeah,
ghosts talking
that's
about.
so true though. Um, Shoot, what were we gonna talk about?
I don't
Uh,
know. Keep bigging up that show, right? I keep hearing about this show, this Tim
oh,
Robinson.
well, the only reason I'm bringing up this show is because so like I watch. You probably seen the meme, the Tim Robinson where he's dressed as a hot dog,
No,
and he's like,
I
it
saw.
was like a famous meme when this came out, or like a GIF, or I don't know, but like I just saw the meme again today where he's dressed as a hot dog. A hot dog car crashes through this store window, and everybody's like, "What happened? Who did this?" And then Tim Robinson's standing there dressed as a hot dog, and he's like, "Whoever did this, just confess." You know, like the whole bit is like him being really. It's like such strange comedy, but it's so funny.
Yeah,
But
so
came out with season 3, and I figured like you'd be someone that I could get a good gauge on because I've watched season 3 almost twice now, and I cannot, and I'm obsessively watching it because I'm like I can't figure out if this is really funny or just so weird that it's fun. You know what I mean? Like I get there's stuff that are jokes, but some of it is so fucking bizarre.
yeah, and they're like short little sketches, right? Like some of them ain't that long. They could be.
No, that's why I was kind of bummed that like season 3 is only like 6 episodes or something. Because I'm like, this doesn't take a lot to do. You know what I mean? Outside of like having the ideas. But again, I feel like this Tim Robinson dude, these probably come to him like all day in the shower. He's like, there's another one. There's another one. And they're so bizarre because it's never, I don't know. It's not the comedy that there's certain comedy that you watch and you're like, yo, that is brilliant on how they broke that down, or like any George Carlin stuff. You're like, the way he can communicate so precisely, he could just punch up with such precision.
I
But
don't think, dude, Robinson. Like I'm looking at him now. Like I don't know if I know him from anything. I don't think I've
no,
ever.
he just appeared. That's what I mean. It's his whole show's weird. I mean, some of it's really, really brilliant, but for the majority of it, it's like I can't I can't figure out if it's genius or just so odd that it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a mix of both.
That was
Again,
that was like kind of for me like Tim and Eric on Adult Swim. Did you ever see their stuff? Tim and Eric.
yeah.
They were like some of the stuff I'd be like, oh yeah, that's funny. Some of it I'd be like, this is like bizarre.
Well, but you know what's funny? So the Tim is in this show.
Oh really?
He makes it well in season 3. Almost, it feels like so many famous people make cameos in it. In fact, I can't even remember it. I think every episode has like 1 to 2 cameos. Like Tim Meadows is in one. Um, the dude from Portlandia, I forget his name, the SNL guy. He does the drumming comedy. Um, it seems like a lot of SNL people. And then before, I don't remember season 1 and season 2, but I know Tim Heidecker's in it, maybe season 3. So it's along those lines. But Tim and Eric was just that one I can comfortably say like that was weird. You
Yeah.
know, didn't matter if it's funny or not. Those dudes were just out there. But this one, it's like he does stuff where like you're like, damn, is this brilliant or is this so weird? You got to watch it so we could talk about it.
I will definitely watch an episode or two within the next few days so I can get
Well,
it.
and listen, I'm telling you, the episodes are like 10 minutes. You know what I mean? They're like these weird 15-minute things where it's like 6 different skits and they all end abruptly. And at some points they go on for way too long, but that's part of the comedy, you know?
Yeah.
So that, I don't know. It's you know what sucks? It's been a weird week this week. And like last week, because we didn't get this live thing up and running, but we just kind of shot the shit. And I'm like, this week, there's nothing, man. I'm exhausted. The Spider-Man thing came out last week, which
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
did
Looking.
you watch that?
Yeah, I did. The graphics are crazy. I mean, yeah, like I have a PS5, and swinging through the city on as Spider-Man is fucking crazy. You know what I
You know
mean?
what though? My son said this, and then people online started saying starting giving a hard time for the graphics. They said they were complaining. They were saying, was it a downgrade? My son said, this doesn't look real. Because I guess everyone was expecting the PS5 to have like a movie feel.
Yeah, yeah. I guess we'll see what happens. It does look very similar to the past 2 or 3 ones that have come out. I mean, it's kind of like the same premise. You know what I mean?
But
Like,
for me, I'm like I wanted to tell my son, I was like, bro, we played Mario Bros. Like this is like beyond video games to me.
yeah,
This is so immersive. Like I don't think I could complain no matter what they did with this.
some games today, man, they're like literally, they're like playing a movie. Some of them, like The Last of Us, like they just made that into an HBO show that's like phenomenal. And then you got the whole Oculus Rift thing. Have you done that yet? Like virtual reality? The
No, 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 no.
put on?
Have
Yeah,
you done that?
I have it. Yeah, I have it. It's crazy, bro. It's crazy. I had
That's
my
real games for it, or is it just like a little demos thing?
No, there's real games. They have a Walking Dead game where you're killing zombies. They have like you flying plane. They have all types of games. The one game that so it's funny. Like I'm very impulsive. So when that thing came out, I was like, "Oh, new stuff! Oh, I want it. $600." And then it'll sit in my closet for months. You know what I mean? But when it's really, really cool is when your boy comes over your house that's never done it.
Yeah.
That's when it's like it shines. You know what I
Do they
mean?
have any movies for it?
Well, no, but they have like the Netflix app for it or YouTube app. And so basically when you enter that, it'll put you in a movie theater or some other crazy environment, like a friggin'
Like on the moon?
like on the moon or like on a $1 million penthouse in New York City over and you're like sitting on the couch and there's a big screen in front of you. And so it's like you're watching the movie, you know what I mean? Or you're sitting in a movie theater watching the movie on the screen, but you got the thing on, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's
Well,
cool.
because do you remember my boy Chad? I think he's still doing YouTube now.
He was very early on that. I remember when he did that live show all those years ago in Davis Square. I went to that and he had one of the very early Oculus things, like, and I remember he had an Insidious like
Yeah.
that you played slash watched and very similar to that. You know what I mean? Very
Yeah,
similar.
but so did you get to rap with him after if he did the demo with you?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I kicked it
Did
with him.
he show you the camera? Nowadays they have like a smaller version, but at the time in his tour bus, he had some kind of camera that was 4D 365. I forget what they called it. So it filmed.
Everything.
Yeah, yeah. It was basically like I forget how I don't know. He gave me like the breakdown, and then I seen some YouTubers do the same thing, and you can actually watch it on YouTube. I know Omar Gosh does it, and
Mhm.
he'll film these videos in not 3D, 365 degree. So when you watch, right, you hold your phone and wherever you move your phone, so yeah, you could see the whole thing.
Yeah,
That's why I figured,
I
these someone I was just reading about Christopher Nolan's got that new movie Oppenheimer, and he says, I guess it's got like 11 miles of IMAX film, right? And the whole description, he was saying like you just have to see it this way because what you know what I mean. That dude's genius though. So whatever he says, you just got to trust. Like if this is how it's meant to be seen, okay. I'm just shocked with like the way tech is that nobody's figured to film like a new Matrix movie or I don't know what it would be, but
I
something like that for the Oculus. Not even for theaters,
yeah.
just for these.
What do you think's the best Nolan movie?
I'm a sucker for the Dark Knight series.
Yeah, the
Seriously, there's not. That's actually probably one of my favorite like
superhero.
film series ever. Did you like that?
Oh, I loved it. Yeah, Batman's probably my. I'm not too big into superhero movies, but Batman's my favorite superhero by far. And yeah, I mean, the opening of the Dark Knight Rises, like that shit is ridiculous, bro. Super
Well,
ridiculous.
and Heath Ledger, his Joker. I
Yeah.
never seen Joaquin Phoenix. I still haven't seen the Joaquin Phoenix one. You see?
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good movie. He killed that. It's a
You
different
did?
good. Yeah, you're not gonna watch it and be like that sucked. I mean, it's a good movie. He did an unbelievable. I mean, Joaquin Phoenix is a great actor. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
Uh,
don't know. I can't watch. Listen, I was not a superhero dude. I seen it because we went for free. with the radio station I was working at, and that like changed my perception of what a superhero movie could be, because that was like an epic, that felt like some kind of Greek mythology movie, like the way that
like the Avengers, and like I would imagine most of them, if I sat down and watched them at the end, I'd be like, oh yeah, that was a good movie. You know what I mean?
they're
Like
spectacles,
spectacles, exactly. There's
you know.
a lot of visual effects, like so. I'm sure they're great actors, so I'm sure they're good movies. You ever see The Prestige? Christopher Nolan, The Prestige. It's about the two magicians, Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman.
No, but
That
I'm making a note because I will watch it. I love Nolan.
that is a great Christopher Nolan movie. Like,
So, what was the one, the time one? No,
came out with Denzel Washington's son.
yeah, what was that called?
Tenet.
Tenet.
Yeah, yeah.
I did not like that.
It wasn't my favorite. It wasn't my favorite for sure.
I was so excited
Couple cool.
to see that. What's another? There was another one that I hadn't seen that I was wondering. They listed all his movies in this, and I was kind of shocked that there were a few I hadn't seen.
Inception. Did you see that one with Leo DiCaprio and?
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, that's a.
Yo, you know what I just watched the other day again? Because I seen this when me and my wife were dating, and again, this is like 10 years ago. I took her to the theater. I would take her to see weird movies. And I took her to see the Django Unchained.
Oh, dude, that's a great movie.
And
yeah.
I just watched that again for the first time, and probably since I've seen it at the theaters. I forgot how spectacular like that whole cast is.
Great fucking movie, dude. Quentin Tarantino is like one of my, if he puts something out, I'm gonna watch it. Did you see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
No, was it good?
That's really good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's the one with DiCaprio and
Tom Cruise. Not Tom Cruise. Brad Pitt.
Yeah, what's his name? Little handsome face.
Yeah. Based on the Charlie Manson murders and like old 70s Hollywood. It's cool. It's a good movie.
Yeah. Yo, did you see I just bought it because they don't have it on anything now. It came out, I think, on Showtime. The Good Lord Bird.
No.
With Ethan Hawke about John Brown. It's based on the Good Lord Bird book. Spectacular watching.
I love Ethan Hawke, actually.
Yeah, he did a great TED Talk. Did I send that to you?
Oh,
his TED Talk was spectacular because it's one of those things where, like, I love when people kind of change your perception on how to think about stuff. And he tells this story about Allen Ginsberg in the beginning. And he's like, Allen Ginsberg goes on TV and is like playing the bongos or something and reading poetry. And as he goes home, somebody says to him, like, you like half the country's confused at what you did. Nobody gets you. Like, what do you do for a living? And he's like, that's my point. He was like, I'm here to inspire confusion, or I forget. He tells the story really well. But when you hear that and you're like, yeah, because Ginsberg is one of those weird beatnik,
100.
like, yeah, out there, But when you hear like him just fully embracing, like, that he's not there to be understood by everyone, but he's there for his purpose. It was
not like Matthew McConaughey's 10-hour friggin' YouTube thing that he did a couple weeks ago.
What was that?
Oh, he put out like his own like masterclass or something. It was like a whole what would you call it? Like, dude, it was like literally like a 6-hour YouTube session where he just told you how to like win at life. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and people were complaining because at the end he was like, if you just sign up for my class, $59.99, I'll teach you the secrets to life, But
he'll teach you how to get into what's that commercial? A Tesla commercial? I forget what he does. Lincoln. Yeah, he'll teach you how to drive a Lincoln. Yo, that dude's a fucking scam artist because I like Tony Robbins for a while because I knew this dude in California, Anton, that worked for him, right?
Robbins is in this Matthew McConaughey self-help.
Of course, yeah. So then I finally sign up. It was free. I take this Tony Robbins and Dean something course. And they're special guests the whole week long. They're prepping it. They still were sending me emails. I had to cancel them 3 times to get off this email list. And the whole week they're promising we got Matthew McConaughey, right? So I forget, it was like Thursday. I'm pretty stoked because I'm like, he's gonna be here live. And the Dean dude, Tony Robbins, there, by the way, for 20 minutes. I made notes. I made a YouTube video on this because I was so shocked at how many people fall for this. I'm like, this is a blatant scam.
Yeah.
Tony Robbins ain't even doing it anymore. He shows up in the beginning, says like, "Have a great week. Here's Dean. I christened Dean with like the power to seal you." You know, he's like, "I christened Dean," and Dean the whole time is like, "It's hardcore." Have you ever sat down at a timeshare pitch?
No, but I get your drift.
I
Yeah.
used to do them in San Diego because you'd get either a $50 or $100 card after. So I'm not kidding. When I would save up for my trips home to Boston to see friends and family, I would do like 4 or 5 of those, in the months leading up and just stack that cash.
Yeah.
But these people pitch you hard. And if you're not just, like dead set, you're like, yeah, nah, I'm good. And they'll like be like, well, we got golf clubs and we got this, and they'll do whatever. So Dean just had that the whole week long. Like it was nonstop traveling salesman, snake oil, timeshare, used car, whatever you want to call it. Like he had hardcore energy. So finally, they're leading up to Matthew McConaughey on Thursday, and right before he goes, you know what? We're gonna have him live, but he got called to film a movie, and like like we're not in the film industry, but we both know like
You don't
that's
get
how it works. What?
you don't get a 24-hour notice like, hey, by the way, you're in the new Christopher Nolan movie. Be here tomorrow at 6. Yeah.
But remember, I'm trying to watch this with like the naivete of not working adjacent to the actor or not. We booked these people, so we know like when they're traveling or doing a movie, that's kind of blocked off. This isn't like emergency, we need you to do these scenes again. It just doesn't happen like that. And if it did, I'm sure it's just the whole thing was sketch, right?
Yeah.
So miraculously, this is the other thing that tipped me off. Miraculously, even though he immediately got this call, they had filmed a 40-minute thing with him, Tony, and Dean. So like, you know what I mean? I'm like, how did he get called to this? But you just could film it with them anyways. Like none of it made sense. And the whole time they're walking him through his book and sales pitch to, I forget what he was selling, but it felt like he was selling the whole time too. And I thought, this is his transition. Like they've welcomed him into the club of, I don't know what you want to call it, like a lifestyle sales. They're ultimately like life coaches,
Yeah. Yeah.
that you can't afford. It was crazy though, because the way this Dean dude emailed me or kept me on the email chain for months after, and I would take screenshots because I was making a little YouTube video. It wasn't as in depth as I wanted to go, and I really wanted to like make a follow up because the way they propositioned their sales pitch felt so illegal, because they would be like, time is running out.
Yeah.
You have 24 hours to claim this deal. Mind you, I would unsubscribe and be like, I don't want no more of this shit. And within a week, I would get the same fucking email with the same timeline.
Borderline predatory.
100%. So that's such a bummer that he's doing that, because you figure this dude has enough money where he doesn't need to, pull in suckers for whatever Matthew's selling.
Dennis Leary, the great Dennis Leary, has a great kind of bit that's kind of about that, like people that like want self-help and people that feel like, oh, woe is me. And he's like, he's like, yeah, I went to a great counselor, and he's like, he solved all my problems. You know what he told me? Shut the fuck up. Shut the He's like, your kid's like doing, complaining about it. Shut the fuck up.
Yo,
like I'm paraphrasing, the way he does it is hilarious, but like it's.
But listen, that's the truth with like these dudes. There's always like this magical thing they can't tell you until you pay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is non-existent.
And all it really is just like the same bullshit you see on memes. And listen, like, don't get me wrong, that stuff, when practiced, is valid advice. You know what I mean? Like positive affirmations or like think good. Like, you know what I mean? Obviously, you got to put the hard work in, but that stuff's not completely like, I mean, but it's like kind of obvious. And I don't think you need to pay fucking Tony Robbins $1,000 for him to tell you that over and over. Like, I think some of it's kind of self-explanatory. You know what I mean?
Listen, the only thing, so and this is where it's like embarrassing for me because I like Tony Robbins, but what I liked about him was his weird, like kinetic movement, ethereal, spiritual stuff where he would, and that's why I originally signed up. I want to hear from Tony. I'd never done a Tony Robbins thing. I always thought he was kind of on that predatory side, but there was stuff I heard him talk about, or I heard my friend tell me about who worked for him, that just seemed a bit in the realm of magic. How we would talk about like your posture and you do these crazy claps and like this stuff that was physical that I get that. That's like, think about like a basketball player when they're going out and they're not like slouching and laying down. Like when they're going out to the game, they're totally, they're getting hyped up. LeBron James throwing up the chart. You know what I mean? There's a mental thing to like your physicality, or like people going out to a fight, they're walking a certain way. So I always thought that was like, kind of brilliant on his behalf. But all this other stuff, the thing they negate is like whatever lured you into them is basically, and here I don't want to go deep down my capitalism rabbit hole, but it's like, yo, it doesn't matter how hard you work. Positive affirmations. Listen, if you believe in that, let me tell you something. I believe that I could hit the lottery for 40 fucking years. Okay. I'm 40 years old. I've seen a dude when I
That's a little different. All right. So like you're not talking apples to oranges. I got to push back a little bit here. You
push back. Because tell me, hold on. Tell me how a positive affirmation about I am worth it. I invite money into my life. What are all the secret affirmations?
different. So like that wasn't really like what I was talking about. Like
Okay.
that's like bullshit. I'm more or less saying like if you have a bad attitude, right? Like if you just have a bad attitude and if you're constantly saying to yourself like I'm not fucking good enough. I'm not good enough to get into radio. I'm not good enough to put out more music. Like I'm too old. What would people think? Like that attitude fucking seeps into your bones, and
100%.
it has an effect on you, so when you do start thinking positively in that regard, that like no, there's no way like I'm gonna hit the lottery, or like I invite money into you know what I mean, like I've been inviting my real dad into my life for 30 years. He's still missing. You know what I mean? So that's
No,
a
I get it. But that's where, like, and that's because I agree with you. Like, you couldn't have put it better. I think the absence of negative talk really helps, especially because you're going to get it from everywhere else, you know. But what these dudes sell is that positive affirmation, or I don't even want to say positive affirmation. This unlocking the key within yourself. God, I got to go back and watch it because this is really fascinating. That like, these people get lured into it, but at the end of the day, for me, I'm like, these people that are paying him are their positive affirmations because they just realized that.
Yeah, but that's been a scam since the beginning of time. The books, like how to make money quickly. You know what I mean? Like by buying my fucking book. That's how I'm gonna. I don't know how you're gonna make money quickly, but I know I'm gonna make money quickly. You know what I mean? And it actually, when you really dig deep into it, it does get kind of fucking dark. I remember there was one. I don't think it was Tony Robbins. It may have been though, but it was someone like Tony Robbins, one of these self-help gurus, and he would have these fucking events, like these self-help events, and he would hold them in these like big pitch up tents, you know what I mean, that holds like a few hundred people, like you know what I mean, like
Yeah,
carnival.
yeah,
And they would have this thing where at the end of it you would walk over coals, okay, and basically they would say just don't think about it, just don't think about it, just walk over the coals, and I guess some people do. I don't know, maybe there is something where if you just walk fast enough you can make it over the coals, but some people ended up getting serious burns on their feet, obviously. And then two, it got so hot in this tent that I believe a woman died because she suffered from like heat stroke and ended up passing away. You
yeah.
know,
That was out in Arizona or New Mexico or in Arizona, right?
somewhere. Yeah, I forget, but I
No, I
remember.
know what you're talking about. I don't think it was Tony Robbins. It was another guru, though.
Yeah, of
But hey, let me tell you, as someone who I walked over hot goals for a radio stunt in San Diego,
course.
the trick is like I forget what there's like no trick. You just walk and it doesn't burn you as
Yeah,
long as you don't stop. You know what I mean? it was like laying on a bed of nails. You know, like the whole laying on a bed of nails is they don't hurt you because you're not like standing with tippy toes on it. You know, like your weight spread out. The hot coals thing is like as long as you walk, you don't actually get burned.
Fucking wild, bro. I'd be like, I'm all set.
No, I did it, man. Because when else am I ever gonna get to do that? But I'm telling you, the see, I don't know. For me, when you get into the outside of the negative self speak, right? Because this is such a bother, like especially lately in life. Because I witness, and probably like you too, I witnessed too many people that worked hard, that had positive affirmations or whatever you want to call it, that collective like I can do this, anybody can do this. My mother was like that, she came up from nothing. She was an orphan in Brooklyn, and she helped so many people. And still to this day, I was just talking to her best friend. Her best friend got tattoos of her. She's getting another tattoo. Like profoundly affected people because of the energy she brought. And my mom went to sleep and died. Broke, renting a shit place in Staten Island. So for me, it's like it doesn't matter when you're in a system like this, and we talk about these life coaches being predators. This whole system's predatory. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, certainly everybody doesn't start the race at an equal place. And you hear all the time like pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Some people don't have boots, some people don't have socks. Like, it's just everybody's starting at a different place. But um, and I don't know if this has to do with like the people I surround myself with but I do think there is something to like you got to work hard, right? Like you
Yeah,
do.
but hold on. This is 100% of who you're around, and if we don't want to say names, I'm fine with that. I know who you're working with because I used to work with them. Let's just say if you're still surrounded by.
It's not that person. It's not that person. And this person that I'm talking about though, he's a really good friend of mine. He'll say to me, "Name me one person that really fucking worked hard and didn't make it. Like didn't wasn't able to like pull themselves out." And listen, I'm
Can I
not.
hold on? Can I answer that? Can I just say something to that before you? And then I want to hear what you say. I would go. How do you know? You know what I mean? Like how? Well, if you're saying name someone who worked hard and didn't make it,
Yeah,
that's
how
the whole.
in the world, I guess. Yeah, yeah.
What?
Like, are you saying like how do you know everybody's circumstance? How would you know like
Well,
everybody?
well, that too. No, what I'm saying is like if they worked hard and didn't make it, you don't know their name because they didn't make it.
Yeah, but what's making it? I'm not talking making it as if, like me, I want to make it in showbiz. Like, so to me, that would be making it. But the older I've gotten, making it actually really just means that I can buy a fucking house one day, raise a couple of kids, and like be able to buy iced coffees every day, and like, occasionally go to the movies. Like, it's not really like, you know what I mean? Like, I've
So
like,
let me flip it like this because I'll respect people who say work hard because I'm not against. This is where like people start to take hard work to mean actual success, and then you go. It's just we got to have this conversation, but just on that point, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. But just on that point, it's like, would you say you don't work hard?
I would say I do work hard, but I would say that I don't work as hard as I can now. I'd be lying if I said that.
So wait, so what is it? Because you say you do work hard, but not as hard as you can. So
I work. I think I was a really good rapper. I really do. I really do. I think I was talented, and I think if the stars had aligned in a certain way, I think I could have been successful in it. But I can't sit here and say that I put 100% of my ability in.
no, no, I'm talking about right now.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, like there are some days where I take a shortcut. You know what I mean? Like I'm human. I'm human, so I gotta cut myself some slack in the same
But
way.
but okay, so this is where I can kind of speak because I know you and I've worked with you. And if I needed something done or if we were doing something, you went beyond. No, this is what I mean. It's like that's stupid because for me, I'm like, you work hard.
Yeah,
Shortcut or not, once a week or fucking if you're having a tough week, that's such baloney. And I don't know who's feeding your head with this bullshit, but I'm talking to you and you stop doing that to my boy. So listen to me, because there, like we talked about earlier, you helped get a show on TMZ, and that was outside of work, off the clock,
Yeah.
on your own creativity.
But I've had this conversation though, like, the thing about radio, when I got into radio, which was so great, and I have you to thank. You were the first person to hire me, and pretty much the person, because I just stayed after that. So really, you were the person that hired me into radio. And I say this to people all the time, like, I feel like I've been in this little depression kind of funk lately, right? And it's because I don't feel like I'm doing what I A want to be doing, B should be doing, right? And I'll tell people, like, you don't understand, like, kind of when you've been bitten by the showbiz bug, like kind of what that feels like when you feel like you just have this fucking thing inside you, like, no, I'm supposed to be doing something else. And and when I got into radio, it was the first time in my life where I felt like, holy shit, I found my thing. Like, I found my thing that I'm good at, that I naturally excel at, right? And I'll say, like, I would go home and work on a bit or a parody song on my own time, or shoot things to TM, whatever. Like, I because I wanted to do that stuff. Now that I still do radio part time, but I also do construction. If I'm working construction and I find out that I have to stay an hour later that day, I want to take my hammer and throw it through the closest fucking window, and maybe it hits a dog. I don't know, maybe, but maybe it does. And like, it's just like different. So like, yes, when I'm doing something that I'm passionate about and that I really love to do, I do go that extra mile. You know what I mean? But like, it's very hard to when you're just kind of like on the grind, and you're kind of like stuck in a job that you don't really like, and like, but sometimes that's when you do have to go hard so you can fucking pull yourself out of that situation. You know
So
what I
let me, can I just speak to that? Because for me, really, it's like, it's heartbreaking to hear your story, because that's so similar to mine. Because for me, I was like, radio was like the one thing where I was like, holy shit, I kind of found where I really have like a passion, and to lose that, or to feel underutilized, or to be so close to it and not, you know what I mean? It's like you're touching it and you can't.
mean? When you had it, you're like, oh, I got you, motherfucker. You're like, oh, Jesus, what happened?
But so what I do, so just to stay on this hard work thing, it's like, so we've acknowledged it. You work harder than most. Um, but when you're in this grind, which I think is very just human and relatable, because I can even say, like, I just said to someone the other day, I said, the anxiety of life can be paralyzing, to where it's like, even though you have to, because they were like, oh, you got kids. I was like, of course, I do everything I can. But inside, anything that you start to want to create, because I'll do a podcast, I do YouTube, I do a bunch of art for stuff, but it becomes, paralyzing. Like, you can't even do anything. And that's like when your soul feels like you're rotting, because you're like, I need to be creating something, I need to be putting something out there. But I don't want to get away from the hard work thing, because you acknowledged it, like, yo, you got to fire like nobody else. And you recognize that, like, you can put in work outside of, you know what I mean? Like, when it's a passion. So this is what bugs me about all this. It's that it doesn't matter how hard you worked, and I'm telling you, like you said, I hired you. I watched the successes that we gained off of your labor, your hard work, that was not paid, not rewarded. And I'm telling you this because I have no problems fucking giving people credit. This is really what bugs me. And there's nothing to show from that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it definitely. I'm not
No,
where.
there's nothing to show from that. And this is what pisses me off. I'll say it. You don't need to say anything. And you can disagree with me, but this is my biggest issue with this fucking country right now, is that people want to pretend like, oh, if you just work hard enough, you'll get there. And I go, that's bullshit.
But, but all right. So here's another argument, right? Like, there are plenty of, like, there's a kid that you went to school with that was fucking nasty in hockey. He was fucking nasty. Was the best kid in high school, right? Fucking makes it to college, goes college, might go pro, but never touches a professional rank. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes that happens. Like, we chose an industry where it's not it's not accounting. It's not, I get a job, I work X amount of years, then I get promoted, and then I make this much, and then, like, it's not like that. It's like timing has a lot to do with it. Maybe someone loses their position at a time when you're like,
100%. But hold on, because I'll 100% speak to that, and you're correct. But when we look at, again, you're going to compare apples to oranges, because when you're talking about professional sports, there's only so many teams, and there's only so many spots on each team, right? And
pretty radio
yeah, but here's the thing, and this is really what's
today where they're fucking Xing jobs left and right, syndicating shows left and right. You know what I mean?
well, not only that, but on the industry emails that I get, these shows that are syndicated are bragging about it. Like, hey, we're in this many cities. And I'm like,
Oh,
homie, don't you understand that every city that you're in means someone local is not there?
always been a benchmark. If a show is syndicated, that's like kind of always been a like you know a success point for that show, whatever show it is. It means that, yeah, it does mean, but like, like I get it. Like I don't agree fully with capitalism, and there are certainly downfalls to capitalism, but sometimes I think like, well, I don't know, show me something better. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. Businesses at the end of the day have to make money. Like
Oh,
you don't
thank you. As
don't
long
is to fucking lose money. You know what I mean? Like, and if I worked hard and started a business, sometimes you got to make those tough calls where you're like,
what
listen,
are
like,
the tough calls though? Exploiting people? Because this is where it's like, for me, it's not a tough call.
I don't agree with like every time somebody loses their job or budget cuts happen. Like, I don't know. Sometimes
Let's
I'm like, oh my god, woe is the fucking person that got their job cut. Like that's life, dude. That's life. Like that's
100%.
it's
But
America. Like, and it goes to the self-help. I should start a self-help fucking thing, and it's just fucking one sentence. Nobody gives a fuck. Work harder. Like because honestly, like, and I need to take my own advice sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, because I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes I think the fact that I'm not whatever is because I'm not making it happen. You know what I
well,
mean?
listen, there's see, I think there's so much to unpack here, and I don't want. We're gonna have to do this again. You got to come with me next Thursday, because I don't want to like keep diving down this hole and leave it so like scattered. But just let's keep it back to radio, because this is really something that like bums me out for good people.
Hold,
Um,
I gotta get. Let me get. I'm gonna get one more beer. I'm gonna have one more
yeah,
beer.
yeah, yeah. Go do your thing, and I'll just wrap. We still got one person here, which is cool, but it will be replayed. But here, let me say this while he's gone. This cat, don't let him fool you. He says, "Oh, I can take a shortcut." One of the hardest working people in radio, and he'll be gatekept because there's people that are just selfish, because this industry doesn't want to actually hire people. That's the stuff.
Is that one person here or is that us?
No, that's one person here. You and me don't show on this.
That person's been holding on. I think the whole because I've been seeing one. I'm like, oh, that's probably me.
No.
Sure.
Yeah, because somebody wrote, "I like your beer" or something.
Yeah, I saw that, but that was when they said two people.
Oh, then why wouldn't it say? I don't know. I don't.
I'm
Again,
wrong.
this is my first time using this, so I have no idea. I just thought it was cool that we could
Oh,
stream.
that person, please write a comment so we know. But I think it might be me. But
And
either way, go up, I think, and people will be able to watch it once it's over.
yeah, they will be. I don't want to hit anything because I don't want to X out. It might just be you then.
You're fine.
But yo, listen, I'm telling you, the hard work myth, it just basically boils down to really like your hard work should be able to pay off for something, whatever you want to, dedicate that hard work to. And this is what bums me out. But because, like in radio, and this is what I was saying before, if somebody gave you a shot, whatever it was, right, just a shot bigger than the part time,
You
the
had one.
what,
You had one shot, one opportunity to see
cue
seven.
the M. But I'm saying, like, bro, you wouldn't do it wrong, and I'm telling you because I worked with you. Like, I think there could be success there, but this is the problem that lies in the hard work. Is you could be working. your ass off. And it doesn't matter if a spot opens, it doesn't matter if someone retires, because most likely, because again, the way these companies need to operate in capitalism in America is they just need profits. And if it's not enough for them, you know, then they need to figure out how to make more. So they lay people off, they syndicate shows. The shows that are syndicated, by the way, aren't making double and triple. You know what I mean? They're making a percentage on it. So it's not even worth it for them. It's just ego. So this is where, it sucks.
But I mean, you know what I mean? Like, if I put out an album tomorrow that was only in Massachusetts, but then they were going to start selling it in North Carolina, and I was just going to get a percentage of those sales, I would feel good the fact that my CD was so successful in Massachusetts that we're going to fucking put it in North Carolina. Like,
Would you feel good if when it went in North Carolina, a local rapper had to take his off the shelf?
Yeah, listen, I don't know. And sometimes I don't mean to be so cynical. Like, I don't know. Like, see, I don't my thought process has changed as I got older, because sometimes I feel like, dude, it's every man for himself. Like, you gotta get out there and get it. Like, you gotta get out there and get it. And here's another thing. I do think, like I said in the beginning, some people do not, like, pull yourself up from your bootstraps. People do not start with boots. There are real serious inequities in this country that need to be addressed. There are real problems. Like, nothing's perfect. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the system's not perfect. But I think it's like the most perfect one we have. You know what I mean? And I think it's great. Like, I admire how much of an idealist you are, right? And we've had this conversation where kind of, you weren't willing to play the game when it came to certain things, right? You weren't.
Still not.
Exactly. I played the game. I played the game. If I had to schmooze somebody's ass that I really didn't care about, when, you know what I mean, I would do it, because I wanted to climb the ladder, and I just wanted to be successful, and I wanted to stay in this fucking industry that I so loved.
I just want to know, how far up the ladder are you now?
Yeah, no, I got pushed off that ladder, actually. My head hurts.
Hold on. This is my whole point. This is my whole point right here. That's it. And this is what bugs me out, because for me, it's not even about idealists. It's just, so here's a stat that I've been talking with people with. So so the minimum wage hasn't moved since 2009, right? The minimum wage was never meant to be a subpar.
Up in Massachusetts.
Federally. It's still 725. So it doesn't matter what it is in Massachusetts. There are people in this country making 725. It hasn't moved.
Isn't what it is in Massachusetts.
No, it's $15 in Massachusetts.
No, I get it, but the cost of living. So where someone's making federally 725, the cost of living, like, you got to factor in the cost of living as well.
Yeah, but the cost of living, you can't. No place in this country can you have a job at 725 and live.
Yeah, that's probably a low amount of money, but
no, there's been like articles, they were said like no place can you afford like a 2-bedroom anywhere.
280, you know what I mean? So yeah, obviously if you're making less than $1,000 a month.
So and recently, and I read this, and then I heard in a podcast, and then this dude started tweeting about it. They were talking about the minimum wage in 1968, right? Because all these right wingers talk about the good old days, which I just think they're referencing racism. But when you want to talk about
hint of that,
yeah. So when you want to talk about like the 60s and stuff, in 1968, the minimum wage was worth 40% more than it is right now. And in fact, if we had the minimum wage from 1968, I think it was like $21, $22 it would be. So my whole point, and that's, again, that should be a bare minimum. It should adjust to where you live in the country, X, Y, Z. There's different factors, inflation, all these things. But my biggest pet peeve with some of this stuff, the hardworking mentality, the bootstrap, well, all the mythical, like, if you just do it and, if you just work hard enough, we'll sum it up as that, you can get somewhere. And the truth is you can. It doesn't matter if it's radio, some other industry. And you said it earlier, because at the end of the day, profits is what motivates our whole industry. When people say, oh, the market will fix itself, the market won't. The market doesn't factor in people, don't care about lives. It just wants profits. So my biggest problem is that it doesn't matter how hard you work. At the end of the day, you're not going to be able to survive, and that's the thing that I want to fight so hard to fix because
Who,
you,
who is it that you have a minimum wage job? Whose
huh?
fault? Whose fault is it that you have a minimum wage job?
Well, let's see whose is it. Could it be the companies that are laying people off for no reason, but they're doing it under the guise of
If,
recession?
if you were if you had a minimum wage job, can you get yourself out of that and put yourself in a better position where you're making more money?
But a minimum wage job. So let's go back to what is the definition of.
Jobs are for 16 and 17-year-old kids. They're not designed to be for like fucking adults. You know what I
You
mean?
are like a Carlson Tucker talking point right now. This is brilliant. I love you, but you're dumb.
I
Listen,
started looking at things a little bit differently.
yeah.
And
So let me ask you this.
I'm in a shitty fucking situation. It's not like I'm fucking sitting on top of the fucking castle and I'm like,
I
oh,
know. So let me stop you real quick.
myself. But
Why would you be a class traitor to your class and go, what put you in that position to have. My point is that when FDR instituted the minimum wage, he didn't say what you said. He didn't say this is meant for teenagers to be able to have summer jobs. That's not why the minimum wage existed. That's not why it started. And this is what I mean. It's this right wing propaganda. It's this Nixon Reagan bullshit where it's like it's meant
I,
for.
I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle, right?
No,
So
I'm telling you what FDR did.
don't agree because I would say if you're that person making working in a minimum wage job, you can get yourself out of that. If
No,
you wanted to, you absolutely could.
hold
You
on, but
put yourself in a trade school, or you could go take some sort of free classes online. Like America truly is a beautiful place. Like I have seen people that have started from the absolute bottom make it to relatively high middle class. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
so
but you're taking an argument that
and
doesn't exist right now.
complaining and saying woe is me, and start like looking inward and fixing your circumstances. You
But
know,
what I'm saying to you though is you're saying the minimum wage is not meant for people, right? That's what you're saying.
at it though. You could be a single mother and like that job is up the street from your house and it makes sense. I get it. Like so I kind of was being facetious when I said
Yeah.
that. I do think though, for the most part, the kid bagging your groceries at Stop and Shop that's making minimum wage shouldn't be a 50-year-old man. It should be like a 17-year-old kid that's just getting into the workforce. But I really do believe that you could get yourself out of that situation. And there's always,
Yeah, but why was the minimum wage started?
and you're saying it's because of why FDR did it?
Yeah, so what I'm saying is that you're going off this theory that the minimum wage was existed for kids to start a job.
Well, it's a blanket statement.
Yeah. And what I'm saying is no, the minimum wage was meant to prevent the capitalist class from continuing to exploit the labor of others. And what the minimum wage was instituting was he was saying that if your business can't pay not a minimum wage, but I think he said something like a living wage, like a wage where you can actually subsist and live. And this is why when people reference the good old days, I go, which one? The one where you didn't need a college degree and you could buy a home? Like which one where you could make a living being a librarian or a, well, that's a bad example because you need a lot of schooling for that. But you know what I mean? Where people were actually coming up, we existed a middle class, and not everybody was a scholarly trade school. You know what I mean? Like there were jobs that,
School isn't like a crazy thing. Like to be a licensed electrician, like that's not some fucking crazy unattainable goal. Like
yeah,
that's
but what I'm telling you, and I'm talking about people I've talked to, is like they're even pinched. So it's not this crazy
yeah.
uh exciting like I'm living the life now either. So this is what I mean. It has to start at the bottom, and the way you start at the bottom is you start telling people like this is not what the minimum wage was supposed to be, so businesses couldn't continue to exploit people, and that they had to actually pay a livable wage. It was never meant for like a McDonald's job for teenagers. And even the people that don't want to, continue to try to learn why the minimum wage was instituted, what was going on, what it was meant to be, I go, who cares? Even if it was a teenager or a single mom, why wouldn't we want them paid the most? If they're going to take on the biggest debt, these teens, right? They're going to go to college, they need that. But the bigger part of it is for me to get to hear that if, let's say you're working at a job that like you got a career, but you still can't buy a house, you can't get out of debt, or just whatever, hypothetically. I go, that's the craziest thing is because if you're making 60,000 a year, 70,000 a year, these people that are making, I've argued with them. And I mean, I was making 100,000 on the radio, and I tried taking money out of my salary to give it to my guys because I was like, this is stupid at how low they're paid. But people sit on that like, well, I can't make this much unless somebody makes that little. And really, what it is if these people that are paid so little keep at that little rate, it seems like you make a lot when everything else, the cost of a house, the cost of a car, the cost of education is all getting higher. People always talk about a Big Mac. I'm like, you know how much a Big Mac fuck costs? $10, bro. $10. You know what I mean? It's like try going to McDonald's and feed two kids and get a meal for yourself. It's $30. You
Yeah,
know, it's insane.
I got a sub the other day. It was $15, and that's pretty much how much a sub costs. And I was saying, wow, I remember when I was a kid, a sub was $5.
That's what I mean.
But
So
it was 30 years ago. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what happens. Everything goes up. But
hold on. But has the price of labor gone up? And this is my point. In 15 years, it hasn't. And
not
that's like,
not at the same rate. No, no, not at the
no,
same.
it has. No, what I'm saying is federally in since 2009 to 23, that's 14 years. In almost 2 decades, it hasn't moved.
Yeah, yeah,
This
yeah.
is where it's like it's so crazy that it shouldn't be an argument. Like the fight for 15 started years ago or over a decade ago.
What do you think's gonna happen if they raise? Do you think the business owners are gonna just take that on the chin, or do you think they just raise the prices on it?
Which business owners? Because are we talking about the Chinese distributors of Walmart and Amazon? They make an
Any business? Do you think the businesses, if they have to all of a sudden now start paying their workers $15 an hour, do you think they're just gonna take a loss in their profits? Oh well, now the fucking thing is 15. I guess we're gonna lose X amount of dollars a year. Because
again, which business owner? Because I'll tell you this: if you're in Massachusetts, you're already doing that magically. I don't know how that happened, and the economy didn't collapse. You know what I mean? It's like Stiz, it's already happening. So, what business owner? Because most businesses in America,
Walmart, like I don't
yeah,
know.
bro, look up Walmart's profits in the past few years.
What I'm saying though is just if you I don't think that the the business, fuck the owners, the business are gonna have a loss. I think they will just raise the cost of the products
Yes, but my but
that that raise.
but my point is they've already look up the profit margins since before the pandemic. They've already done that. So my point is they did it without moving the wages. They're already doing it. So what's your point here? Like they're going to do it again? I'm like, bro.
Yeah, they will absolutely. My point is that the businesses are not going to eat that money. It's not going to be coming out of the businesses' pockets. As
Yeah,
for
but it never has. So you're talking about a theory.
it will get passed on to the consumer.
Yeah, but that's how we already operate. So what you're saying is business as usual. You know what I mean? So
Yep,
so
yep.
what I'm saying is it's been business as usual except for the other side, because this is my frustration when people say they're not going to take it on the chin, or the price of stuff is going to go up. I'm going, that's all right. Have you been food shopping lately?
Yeah,
Bro,
yeah.
food is so expensive, and guess what?
Think,
Nobody's getting raises. My wife had to fight tooth and nail, and she didn't even get the raise she wanted, and she's a nurse working through a pandemic.
yeah,
You-
I think it ebbs and flows. I think it goes one way, it bounces back and goes the other way. It goes one way. I think it's been doing that for a very long time. You think Biden's doing a great job?
no, he's horrible.
Yeah, he's not the best. Yeah.
He's a punk. He broke a strike. He's basically everything he ran on, and this is why I think this two-party
I,
system
I
junk, and we get rid of it.
well, like really in like specificity to like the economy.
Yes, horrible. If you break a strike, that's horrible for the economy, especially for my class, the working class.
What?
The train, before the big derailment, there was the rail workers were about to go on strike, or maybe they had been on strike for 3 days, and he ended it.
Mhm.
And then I think it was like within a week or maybe a month. I forget my timeline. Again, I'm getting old, but then we had that huge spill in North Palestine, East Palestine, Ohio. Was it Ohio?
Ohio, yeah.
So I mean, if you break a strike, because the biggest power that the working class has is to withhold their labor, to say, nope, we're going to stop you. We're going to stop all profits until we need these things addressed.
Mhm.
And he ripped that power from them. So I think just doing that to the economy, just that single thing alone, I go, you're the biggest punk ever. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, I guess to just put a button on the whole thing with the cat and all that stuff. I think you raised some valid points. I really do. And like I said, I do think there's inequities, but I just don't want to see us get into this place where it's just like constant complaining, constant woe is me. Like I do think that people do need to take some like self responsibility and like put themselves in the mindset of like nobody gives a fuck. I gotta go do it because really nobody does give a fuck, and you gotta go do it for you know what I mean? Because like
yeah.
no one's gonna give you a handout. Unfortunately, you know what I
No,
mean?
but we're just looking for hands up, and let's wrap it up with this because
Woo! Look at you! We lived a wow! You put
well,
that bumper sticker, bro, or a pin.
because you say this, and I agree with you to a part, but I think it's with the company you keep. Okay, because you say no one gives a fuck, and I'll tell you this: I give more than a fuck. I
Yeah,
give so much of a fuck
yeah.
that it emotionally affects me to not see people that.
You're a good dude, and I will definitely say that to anybody that watches this. You are a very true individual, and your heart is always in the right place.
But what I'm saying is, so, and this is what bugs me. So when Martin Luther King Jr. was killed, right? What he was fighting for was a economic bill of rights to be paid better. And now we go, what are we, 60 years in the future, and we still have people fighting that fight. We're fighting these fights on all these different fronts.
Yeah, but
When
Rob, those people, do you think that will always be a fight? Do you think one day they're gonna magically come out with a number, and then people are gonna be like, okay, okay, we got enough. Thank you, appreciate it.
no, I think it happens through revolution. You know,
People want more money. People like businesses are always gonna business. Like I think it's gonna be a story of like time. You know what I mean?
but I'll say this. So, like Tupac used to say this, right? So Tupac used to say that I'm not the one who's going to spark the revolution. What?
Sorry, I just you're like Tupac used to say, and I was just like, that's why I fucked your bitch, you fat motherfucker.
Tupac's one of the greatest, man. Seriously, he's on a different level. But he would say, and I think before his place closed in Stonehill, Georgia, they had it in stone or something. It was like, where I'm not the voice, that's going to spark the revolution, but I'm going to inspire. Yeah, I'm going to inspire the person that will. So for me, it's really about, I may care. Most people you deal with probably don't care or tell you stuff like you just work harder, which I've watched, and again, I'll bring it back to this. I've watched too many close people that I loved work really hard and die with nothing to show, less than nothing to show, with debts to show, with these horrible situations. So for me, I go, how do you call this the greatest country in the world, the most beautiful, the most whatever you want to say? And it's happening day by day. And most of the stories you'll never hear because they're just that you're only hearing the success ones or the ones who are rich enough to amplify their voice enough. So for me, it's really about, I think people do care, and if they don't, I'll tell you that I do. And we need to start just asking these questions, like the market needs to always have profit. Okay, why? Is that the best market we can have? What about you? And I'm not saying I have the answers, I'm really not. Again, I'm a student in all this, so I would like to hear more. I try to study people more. I try to hear the other side of what. That's why I could reference Tucker Carlson, because I hear the shit where I go, that just doesn't make sense. It
Mhm.
just seems like you were told that, tell other people that, hope they believe it, and hope nobody asks questions. So for me, really, it's just about asking more questions, saying like, if this is truly the best we've got, then why are so many people dying because they don't want to go into debt? Why are people opting to not call an ambulance because they don't want to go to the hospital? Why are people working 3 jobs and can't buy a house? Why are they giving loans to kids that are fresh out of high school for 100,000 to go to school, but they won't give that same child a loan to buy a house with 100,000? Like, these are the things that don't make sense unless I start to go, well, who profits from it? And then who's in control? Oh, are the people that profit from it in control? Oh shit, then it makes sense.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, come on.
And
Great.
listen, change starts with us. That's what I'm trying. This is what I'm trying to win you over to. That's fine and good. You could keep all those work hard, and I'm not. And this is where I think maybe people mistake it. I'm not against working hard. I'll work my life off for something that I believe in, and for something that I'm really trying to get done.
Well,
And
clearly you are, working hard. I mean, you keep a roof over your family, so
I don't do that. That's my wife. Don't give me credit.
Well, I'm sure there was a time where you were the one working in the relationship and she was going to school or whatever the fuck. You're in a two-person team where it's like,
Yeah, and I'll tell you this: I worked my ass off at that last show I was on. The only time he hit a bonus, the only time that the girl that worked with us hit a bonus, she told me, she said, in 10 years I worked here, I never hit a bonus until you came. And that was my word. I said, I'll make you number one. And I hired the right people. I hired brilliant people like yourself and my team. We made him number one. And where did that hard work go? They were like, you challenge him too much. Get the fuck out of here. You're the dude who says, like, thanks for perpetuating racism in Boston. I found that clip of me saying that to him the other day. I'm like, and so what I'm saying is, like, you can work as hard as you want, and sometimes hard work doesn't matter because America's an at-will employee state and or country that, if they don't like you, if you don't want to play the game, which is dumb. I think because you said that, like, Rob, you ain't willing to play the game, and I'll never be willing to play the game because the game costs too many people their lives. It costs too many people a lot of time and energy with nothing to show. And I hate to use you an example because I think there's so much potential. I'll fight for you fucking any day to get work and do whatever.
I do
But
appreciate, but I won't sit here and say, like, do I think I got the short end of the stick in some situations? Yes, absolutely. But do I think that I have no hand in where I'm at? No, I don't think that. I think
you
there.
don't think you paid your dues?
Yeah, yeah, I do think I had paid my dues. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
listen, I don't want to, because I know it's personal for you and I know you're still in that realm. And it's not even that I'm not in that realm. It's just, I don't give a fuck. And all these people that like play this game and this is what I don't like. They do this dance, right? This dance where it's like alluring and they're like, hey, if you just do this dance with us, who knows? Maybe you'll be the prom queen. But really, the whole time they're like, I'm the fucking prom queen. And if you ever get that in your head, that's what they're saying inside. But they tell you this whole bunch of other shit. And
Yeah,
that's the game.
going on since the day of fucking Caesar, bro. Like, that's just human beings in life.
Bro, that's not me. So you're telling it to me, who it's like, bro, when I told you something, I came through.
There's always been people like you that wants to buck against the system and be like, this isn't fair, like blah 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 blah.
Fuck
But
the system.
I think, yeah, yeah, a little bit. You do like to rock the boat. I'm not saying you don't have fair good intentions or even valid intentions, but you do rock the boat sometimes.
100%.
But
But
I
it's
you're kind of complaining about things that, yeah, like, like money's gonna cause people to be greedy. Like, yeah, that's been going on since the fucking dawn of time. Like, where
very true.
know what I mean? So
But, you know, you're right. You're right. Fuck it. We're all
I,
fucked.
you're an idealist, and I appreciate. Do you like Russell Brand? I feel like he's an idealist too, Russell
Yo,
Brand.
you know what? I did a video on him. You can watch it on my YouTube too. But, oh, see, look, they went away. So we lost one person.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
no, I did a video because I like that he thought things different. The traditional questions or traditional way of thinking, he approached it from a unique perspective. But lately, and I mean, I was watching all his videos. I did a video on him because the right really came to his side. Like people that were Tucker Carlson, Trump fans, that were all coming to hear him talk because he was just more about asking crazy questions.
Well,
And
see, it's so crazy. Yeah, they were coming to his side because he was questioning the vaccine, and at the time, that went along with their narrative. The
yeah,
second
yeah, we
that
we can't.
they didn't agree with, it would have been fuck you. You
Well,
know.
listen, yeah, no, no, no. Well, that's why I did my video. I just don't want to talk about it on this. I can't get in any more trouble on here. But when you hear what his stand is on like addiction or just all these different things, I don't even remember them all down. Addiction stands out the most because he's so empathetic. But as of lately, I think he's kind of I don't know how to put it, so I want to be weird, but I think he's just kind of traveled into that right wing realm a little more. But originally, he was outside left and right. He
Yeah,
was really like more radical than anyone else. So I did appreciate him, but he just started teetering. I think the audience that he got kind of convinced him that this was the way to wealth. I don't know how else to put it.
yeah, yeah. But it's just like sometimes I listen to him talk, and it's kind of like this. He's like, like the pharmaceutical companies are fucking doing things to like make money, and if it, and it's like he's an idealist, and I get it, and he has a lot of fucking great points, but it's like at the end of the day, like this is still the real world, and in the real world, you can't just snap your fingers and fucking get rid of all the like you kind of got to take baby steps with things, you know what I mean? And it's like, I don't think things are perfect, but I think they are better than they were 50 years ago, and I pray that they continue to get better. um
But
grad
and that's where let's leave it here because and next week we'll adjust it. I go, but are they? Right?
Oh,
You said 50. They
100%.
are? I
Bro,
mean, outside of
black people were getting lynched in the street. I mean, just in the racism um,
this,
category, fucking
I don't know if you pay attention to news, but
yeah.
black people
Point to yeah, you can yeah, you can point to times where black people definitely get mistreated by various facets of American society, but a lot of people get treated roughly by various facets of American society. And again, do I think it's perfect? No, but I think it's fucking a lot better than it was 50 years ago, you know?
and okay, so then how about this? Why do you think it's better? Do you think it's better because a bunch of people are like, you know what, it's not? Because I this was always my response to people who say stuff like this.
Because a black kid coming up today that grew up right next door to me, for the most part, has the same exact opportunities that I do. And if he works hard and applies himself, he can put himself in a pretty comfortable situation. I do
I
believe.
have to have him on. Let's have him on because I would like to know if he thinks that too. And this is what I mean. It's like as white people, we can't say that because we're not experiencing how many denials, how many how many whatever. We're not experiencing that, and that's something we can never speak to. So again, I just ask the questions, but really the progress has come not from because I always love to when people go like America, it's just like the best we're gonna get, or tell me a better system. And I go, there were people when there were white fountains and colored fountains, there were people saying, it's not perfect, but we used to have slavery and like this is the best it's gonna get, and they were just fucking content with it.
Yeah,
You
maybe certainly not what's going on today. No,
Yeah, because well, if there is any progress, it's only because people were like, this shit is not acceptable.
and a
You know,
lot are white too. Like I
who?
don't, I don't know too many like real racist people. Like I mean, fucking racist. Like I
Yeah,
don't.
the subtle races because that's everywhere. You know what I mean? It's like we can't pretend that it doesn't.
Yeah,
It,
but you know what too, bro? Like human beings are gonna human being, bro. Right? Like people used to hate thousands of years ago. They would hate that tribe over there just because they're fucking from that side of the river. I
yeah,
don't
but
get rid of that type of fucking. I don't know what you would call prejudice. I guess is what you would call it. I don't know. I don't know how you get rid of that. I
well,
would.
let me tell you something that I've experienced because I'm a dad. Okay, that if you're gonna say it's human beings, I'll tell you this: that if my kids, because we've lived in very multicultural areas.
Oh yeah, this could be a great point. I think I know where you're gonna go, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, because people have said it before, but like, so when we were living in Weymouth, right? I think when I was working back when I was working with you, like our closest family, I think they were from uh, Iran. I forget, but the little girl didn't speak English, and the dad, I would use like a translator app on my phone, and my kids. You know what I mean? It was like there was nothing. So I think a lot of this stuff is learned, and of course, because we're in America, it's very much learned. Just like when you were saying they hated the tribe against across the river, and immediately I thought the kids didn't,
Yeah,
and if the kids did, the kids said like, oh, the parents said we're in danger from those people,
yeah.
or like some
But
kind of.
kids are also kids. So, I don't know what happens to humans as they get older, but that there is some sort of prejudicial fucking,
Teaching,
yeah, yeah, probably.
teaching. Well, and listen, I only say this because I've firsthand experienced it. Like my kids
But
aren't prejudiced against no one.
you would agree with me. It's not always like a black and white thing. It literally could be that, oh, they live over there. Fuck those people. They live over there.
Oh well, look at the IRA in Ireland and the fighting between Catholics and Protestants, right? And
Yeah.
there was a great Dolores, is there her name? Dolores something, and she spoke to the racism in Boston, and she said it breaks my heart to see the Irish people helping to oppress the black people in Boston, because if you're truly Irish and you come from where we come from, you know about oppression and why you would never want to be a part of it. And that
Yeah.
was white oppression. But so I don't know, I just think it's more learned than just like ingrained in us, the nature
Hey,
nurture.
hey, my phone's gonna die, so let's
Yeah.
wrap because I want to talk to you off air real quick before we get off.
All right. Listen, I'm gonna. Oh my God, yeah, I gotta get my kids to bed. But I'm gonna lock you down. My phone, my watch died too. Uh, let's do this again next Thursday, and hopefully we'll have something funner to rap about. Of
Yeah,
course.
I know. We got real serious right there.
Well, of course, because the last week when we talked and it wasn't on this, it was all fun, and this week we're just like.
And I said, remember, I texted you. I go, yo, bro, we just talked for 40 minutes. We didn't even touch on politics, and you're like, oh yeah.
All right, now we got the politic one out of the way. All right, so I'll call you.
All right, do it, please. Yeah, do it. Give me 2 minutes of your time.
All right, later.
All right.